Hello and welcome back to Classic Guitar Rock. I am Jeremy, and we've got this update for Monday, the 27th of February. Thank you for joining us. So, over the weekend, I tried to do a little live stream and play music, kind of like a little request show. And I was just pummeled with problems. For one, I use the StreamYard software, and it's supposed to broadcast to multiple platforms. So it was supposed to be on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Rumble. As it turned out, it only went live on Rumble, and I think it was something to do with Rumble being a customized destination. It's not, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube automatically by default are set up in StreamYard, and then you can add other platforms. So I added Rumble. It worked on Rumble, but then it didn't work on any of the other ones. Well, it actually went fine. The music, the quality of the music sounded pretty good. Obviously, a limited audience on Rumble just because there's not as many folks on Rumble as YouTube and Facebook. But then the recording got blocked because BMG claimed I played an Eagles song. That's probably why it got so. I wasn't trying to monetize it. So normally if you play music, if you don't try to monetize it, it's not really a problem. But the Eagles are so nitpicky that it was blocked. So the whole recording was blocked. So I've just deleted it. So anyways, I'm going to try it again just as a live, because it was fun. Just a live stream, play music, play requests, kind of fun. But in the future, I won't play any Eagles. And B, maybe if I just don't try and post the recording after the fact, it won't be an issue. I don't know. We'll see. But just the trials and tribulations of classic guitar rock. I got a few emails, and then we want to get to some news of the day. Please email me, classicguitarrock@mail.com. classicguitarrock@mail.com. I've asked folks to kind of share their classic rock memories, right? A song or album or group that brings back a lot of memories. But share whatever you want. You can email us about anything. I'm trying to kind of make this more of a community here where we get to hear from you all, not just me, right? But I do have, it looks like 4 emails. And then we'll talk about a few news items today. First one is from Jana. Hope I'm saying that right, Jana. Hey, Jeremy, I'm a fan of your podcast and generally just a fan of podcasting. I listen to several different podcasts covering all kinds of topics. I'm interested in starting a podcast myself and was wondering what advice you might have for someone interested in starting a podcast. That's a great question. The biggest regret I have is that I waited as long as I did to start. I started my podcast at the end of 2020, I think. But I'd been listening to podcasts for probably 5 years. And I wish I would have started when I first, knew about podcasting. Podcasting is just getting bigger. More and more people are listening to podcasts. More and more companies are leveraging podcasts. In fact, my day job, I work for a company where I produce the corporate podcast. So there's a growing audience for it. And the great thing about podcasting is it doesn't require a big investment, right? Anyone could do it. So in fact, here's a shameless plug. I have another YouTube channel called VoiceOver Startup. VoiceOver Startup. On the side, I do freelance voiceover stuff. I do a lot of audiobooks. I do a lot of business book summaries and things like that. So I have a little YouTube channel that's called VoiceOver Startup. And I actually have several videos that talk about podcasting, the equipment you need, things like that. But I would encourage you to get into podcasting. It's fun, right? It's something to do. Here's the one tip that I would give someone thinking about podcasting. Pick a niche. Okay, you can't do a podcast about everything. You need to pick a niche. So this podcast, for instance, the Classic Guitar Rock podcast is about classic rock, right? That's a specific niche. if you just want to have a podcast where you talk about whatever you want, it's hard to get traction unless you're already like famous, right? So pick a niche and focus, and picture in your mind who your target listener is. That's easy for me to do. Fans of classic guitar rock tend to be, 40 to 60-year-old, mostly male. Not all. I mean, Jenna is a female who sent this email, but mostly male. And having that demo, having that target listener in your mind, keeps you focused on where you're directing your efforts, what you're talking about, right? And I try and picture in my mind someone like me, right? A 40 to 60-year-old guy who's into classic rock, obviously. Is this something that he would be interested in? If not, I'm probably not going to talk about that, right? So don't make the mistake of having a podcast about everything, because if you try to talk about everything, you won't be interesting to anyone, right? So you need to find your niche, focus on that, find something that you're really passionate about and can talk about and would want to interview people about. Stick to that. Don't try and go too broad. So that's a basic thing that I would say. And also the equipment to get started in podcasting, super minimal. You need a computer, right? I mean, you could do it with just your computer and just use the mic on your computer, but you can get a good USB interface or a little USB mixer, a good mic. I mean, $150, that's all you'd ever need to spend really to have good quality sounding podcasts. You can download the Audacity software for free. That's an editing software. So yeah, it's, if you have any other, feel free to email me again. If you have any questions, or like I said, check out my other YouTube channel called VoiceOver Startup. And there's some stuff specifically about podcasting. Great question though. I love podcasting. It's a lot of fun. Next question. Hello, Classic Guitar Rock. I recently found you guys and started with your episode about Wishbone Ash. Nobody knows anything about Wishbone Ash, and they are one of my favorite bands. So underrated. Thanks for talking about them. Will you be doing anything else on them soon? I'll keep listening. Well, thank you. That's from Jared Shipley. Thank you, Jared. I'm a fan of Wishbone Ash. In fact, shortly after that podcast, I got an email from a gentleman. I can't remember his name, but he's like the president of the Wishbone Ash fan club in the U.S. And they actually invited John and I to go see Wishbone Ash as they came through Spokane last year. So we got VIP passes. It was really cool. And we saw them in a cool theater, the Bing Crosby Theater here in Spokane, which is an old Art Deco theater, a club, beautiful facility, great place to see a show. And we saw Wishbone Ash. And Wishbone Ash, incredibly influential. They were one of the first twin guitar, not bands with two guitar players, but bands that actually used two guitars in a harmonized leads. A lot of, the traditional two guitar bands was one guy played, the Beatles, it was, John playing rhythm and George played lead, well, Wishbone Ash mixed it up and they would do these harmonized lead lines. And Wishbone Ash had great vocals. Their vocals to me kind of reminded me of Yes, lots of harmonies. And, they weren't quite a hard rock band. They weren't quite a folk band. They were kind of a progressive. They're kind of hard to categorize, but very underrated. If you're not familiar with Wishbone Ash, check out our episode on it. And of course, the big album Argus, 71, 72, when Argus came out. Check out Argus. It's a real, if you're going to listen to one Wishbone Ash album, listen to the Argus album. And in fact, when we went and saw them, when John and I saw them last year, they played Argus in its entirety. And then they played some other songs. But really talented band and very underrated, very influential. Bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and will cite Wishbone Ash as an influence. They're not as hard rockin', obviously, as Iron Maiden or Judas Priest, but they really were kind of a template for this dual guitar harmonies and stuff. So check out the Argus album for sure. And Jared, thank you for listening. And will we talk about Wishbone Ash again? I don't know. I'm sure they'll come up again in conversations at some point. They're a great band. Here's another one. Hi, guys. Here's one of my favorite rock and roll memories. Senior year in high school, 1982. We were listening to Foreigner 4 and Bob Seger's Against the Wind album nonstop. I had them both on cassette and listening to them everywhere I went. Also, Black Sabbath Mob Rules came out around that time too. Listened to it quite a bit. I follow you on Twitter, and you always are bringing back great memories. Thanks. Dean the Dancing Machine. All right. Dean. Not to be confused with Gene the Dancing Machine from The Gong Show. This is Dean the Dancing Machine. Thanks, Dean, so much. And follow us on Twitter, Classic Guitar Rock, or at Classic Guitar R1. At Classic Guitar R1. And by the way, just over the last couple days, I've started to post some links to products that I use that I think might be helpful for folks to buy. So I'm kind of adding some of that too to the Twitter. Like I have a few overdrive pedals and chorus pedals that I just will put little links that you can go buy them on Amazon or whatever if it's something you're interested in. But yeah, follow us on Twitter. One more. Gentlemen, a deep philosophical question. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? Everyone knows that. It's 3. That's from An Inquiring Mind. Answer is 3. Now, let's talk about some news really quick. I've got some Foreigner news today, and I've been talking about Foreigner with my son all weekend because he and I are going to go see Foreigner in September. So we got a ways to wait, but we've mentioned this in other discussions. Foreigner is one of the bands that, and guys, this is just becoming the norm, right? As these great classic rock bands get older, members die or their health won't allow them to continue or whatever. And so then there's the question, do they just close up shop, or do they continue to tour with replacement members? The purists would say, hey, you need to just close up shop. Fans of great music might say, no, continue to tour with new members. We want to hear the music live, whatever. I tend to fall in the camp that if people are still willing to pay and they can still put out a good product live, then why not? Who's to say they should stop doing that? So Foreigner has only one original member still affiliated with them, and that is Mick Jones. Mick is like late 70s. He's had a lot of health problems. He continues to play a smaller and smaller role. Last I heard, he'll just play a song or two, and then he turns it over to the rest of the band, which is in fact all replacement players, top-notch musicians, but not original. Some people are okay with that, some aren't. Personally, I'm buying tickets to see him. By September, Mick Jones might not be playing anything, right? So there's a few Foreigner items in the news. So I wanted to share some of that with you. There was a little dust up. I don't know if it's a dust up, but Lou Gramm. Let me read this quote from Lou Gramm. Lou Gramm was talking about Kelly Hansen, who's the former singer in Foreigner, and he says, in 2022, this is from Ultimate Classic Rock. In 2022, Gramm told Sirius XM host Eddie Trunk that Hansen, Kelly Hansen, again, the replacement singer, he told Trunk that Hansen, quote, mimics my style right down to the ad libs, and I'm offended by that. I just think that if he's going to sing the songs, he could sing the melodies that are familiar. But when it comes to the ad libs and all the little things that set me aside as a vocalist when I sing them, he should make up his own. He should have his own ad libs that are his own. He doesn't have to mimic me. Whatever. Okay, so I don't know if this is in response, but recently Kelly Hansen said this. He says he's open to sharing the stage with the band's former frontman, Lou Gramm. Quote, "The door is always open to all the original members, all the surviving members of the band to come and play with us. I encourage that, and I really enjoy doing it. I've always loved having those guys and respected everything that they've accomplished, even though sometimes it's not always reciprocal." And I guess that's kind of a response to Lou Gramm's thing. So we got that. Lou Gramm, in the 70s, one of the greatest classic rock vocalists. I love Lou Gramm. He's great. And you may or may not be aware that in the late 90s, he had major health problems, almost died. And it was like an aneurysm in his brain. And they weren't sure he was going to make it. And it caused a lot of problems. He went from being like 155 pounds to like 270 pounds in a matter of just a few months after this aneurysm. He wasn't able to perform for quite a while. I actually saw him in 2000. It was either 2002 or 2003. My wife and I went and saw them with Lou Gramm. And it was, God bless Lou Gramm, but he was not ready to be performing yet. And I think he's better now, but he sounded bad. He looked bad. And we wound up leaving early because, to be honest, it was kind of sad. And again, God bless him for making the effort, but he should not have been, he wasn't ready to be back on the road and be performing, and it was pretty obvious. I think he's doing better now, but obviously he hasn't been part of Foreigner for a long time. That's why they brought Kelly Hansen in. Kelly Hansen is a great performer. He plays the songs with respect and does a great job. The other members of the band that they brought in have done a great job. So, as I've mentioned 1,000 times already, this is going to be the norm because all of these classic bands that we all love, they're getting older and all the members aren't able to do it anymore. So they have to make the decision, are we going to keep doing this or are we not going to do it? The only way we can do it is with replacement members. So one other Foreigner bit of news here. One of the guys that has come into Foreigner and has been in there for a long time now, probably 15 years or so, is Jeff Pilson. Jeff Pilson, of course, was in Dokken. Jeff Pilson's a very talented bass player, great singer, producer. Well, he's been a part of Foreigner now for a long time. And he says that the band could continue without Mick Jones, but that they probably won't. And he's saying that this current tour, the one that I'll be seeing in September, will probably be their last one because Mick will probably not be able to go on. And he says, quote, "It kind of makes it a nice, tidy way of wrapping it up, actually," he said, "because we did get to honor the original band with the release of the 2017 record that we did with them." In 2017, they did a record where they brought a lot of the original members back. Then now we're getting to kind of put the bow on this version of the band. So according to Jeff Pilson, that this will probably be the last hurrah for Foreigner, which kind of makes sense as Mick Jones will this will probably be the last tour he'll be able to do because of his health. And yeah, would we be okay with a Foreigner that had 0 original members? I don't know. Maybe some folks would still be willing to buy the tickets, but okay, another bit of news here. Roger Waters of Pink Floyd has been canceled. The city of Frankfurt, Germany announced that a scheduled Roger Waters concert would be canceled. And they refer to him as one of the world's most well-known anti-Semites. Well, I'm not the biggest Roger Waters fan. I think, and I don't want to get into politics, I have a problem when people are canceled. Now, if fans decide they don't want to go see someone because of their political views or whatever, that's fine. That's the fans deciding. But when a site or a city decides they're going to cancel someone, I have a problem with that. And I don't care where your politics are. I don't care if you're on Roger Waters' side or Ted Nugent's side, right? Because it happens all the time, both ways, right? Ted Nugent here about 8 years ago was going to play at a casino here, and he was canceled because some people in the community complained. Well, they weren't going to go see him anyways. What about the people who wanted to go see him, right? Same with Roger Waters. There might be people in the community that think he's an anti-Semite and don't want to go see him. Well, fine, they can stay home. But there's a lot of people that would like to pay to go see him. So let the market decide. Quit canceling people, whether it's because you don't like their left-wing politics or their right-wing politics or whatever it is. Okay, that just drives me crazy. Let the fans decide whether or not they want to go see this person and support whatever point of view the people have. Drives me crazy. So again, I'm not going to go through the list of things that this article cites that Roger Waters has done. He's always been very politically active. He's always been very outspoken. And if you disagree with him, don't go see him. But other people want to see him. So why do we cancel people and replace Roger Waters with Ted Nugent or whichever outspoken musician there is? It drives me crazy when a city or a concert venue cancels someone because someone still wants to see that person. The people that are going to be offended, they aren't going to go anyway. So what's the point? It's stupid. Quit canceling people. Drives me crazy. All right, so that's an update I wanted to give you today. Again, follow us on Twitter, Classic Guitar R1, and shoot me an email, classicguitarrock@mail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And we will see you on our next update right here on Classic Guitar Rock. Bye-bye.